Future Vision. Wearable low vision aids and reading machines. Presented by Mark Silver from Optelec Enhanced Vision on the 23rd of December 2021. Future Vision. Future Vision is a series of technology events aimed at people living with sight loss. Future Vision is a collaborative project between 7 local independent sight societies, including Sight Advice South Lakes, Cumbria, My Sight's Notts, Nottingham, Sight Airedale, the Airedale area of North and West Yorkshire, Support for Sight in West and South Essex, Sight Concern Worcestershire in Worcestershire, Sutton Vision in the London Borough of Sutton, and the Hercules Visual Impairment Network in Huddersfield, West Yorkshire. So welcome to the December edition of Future Vision. Today we're pleased to have Matt Silver from Enhanced Vision and Optelec with us, who's going to talk about wearable vision aids and reading machines. So over to you, Mark.
Hi, hello everybody. Hi. So as Anthony says, I'm Mark. Actually, I live in Keighley, which is fairly near Sight Airedale, which Anthony works for. But I cover really most of the north of England for Optelec Enhanced Vision, and we are the biggest company in the world that make equipment for people who are blind or partially sighted. So we do all sorts of things, from small electronics to large ones that help people see, and text-to-speech, as we talked about. And as Anthony says, I'm going to concentrate today on 2 aspects, which are the text-to-speech, so things that will just read out to you, but where you don't need any sight at all, and the wearables. So that's like the new of the equipment, where you would usually wear it like a pair of, most of them like a pair of glasses, but then they can help you in the way to overcome the difficulties of your eyesight problem. So I'm going to start off with pretty much the standard text-to-speech, which is still probably one of the most popular devices that we do, and that is the smart reader, which I've got one here. Those you can see the screen. It's a smallish device, about 10 to 12 inches high, with an arm that pops out at the front. And that arm that pops out at the front's got a camera which looks down onto the table that the device sits on, and you put what you want to read underneath the device on the table. So I'm going to demonstrate this one to you, and then I'll talk a little bit more about it. So with this one, I'm going to put just a leaflet in front of it, one of our leaflets, and then there's a big ridged button on the top, which is very easy to find. Press that button, it takes a picture, which you may have just heard then, does analyze. Processing. That's it, processing, analyzes it for about 10
At
seconds.
Optelec, we pride ourselves on our ability to help our customers live more independently.
So I just paused it there, but basically you can pause, you can go backwards and forwards with that, and you can change the volume and you can change the speed. So it's very good at reading out set text to you. Now, it doesn't read out handwriting, but none of the devices I can show you today, and none of them really on the market, do that at the moment. It's very hard to work out handwriting from individuals because it varies so much. But any text, that could be a letter in the post, magazine, newspaper, book, or packets of food with instructions on, you put it underneath, press the button, and it will read it out to you. So it can be very useful. As I say, you don't need any sight at all. There's nice big buttons on the machine itself, so you can change things. There's a little wheel to change how fast it speaks to you, so you can slow it down if you want to. And there's a little wheel to change the volume, make it louder. And it is quite a high volume. I have people, I wear hearing aids, but people who have hearing aids with more severe hearing loss, and they can still hear with the big speaker that's built into it. So that's called a smart reader. It's quite good, but it really stays. It's not something you would take out with you. It stays in one place. It's got a battery, so you could move it around a little bit within the house, but you wouldn't take it out to a shops or anything like that. It's a bit too bulky for that type of operation. So the next thing, we do several versions of that smart reader. We do another one which is called a clear reader, which very similar in how it works, with an arm that pops up and you put something underneath. That one is a little bit more advanced in its control. So you can actually get it to spell out words underneath it. So if there's someone's name, it'll spell it out for you. Or if it's a telephone number, it'll say it digit by digit for you, going backwards and forwards. And it's easier to save documents with the clear reader because you can give it a voice tag, so you can actually call it something and then go back through the memory within it and pick out that particular document with what that you saved in it. But in essence, it works very similarly. You put the document underneath it, press a button, takes a picture and reads out to you. So those two stay basically within the home, or you can move them about within the home, but you can't really take them out. So the third product I'm going to talk about is one that you can take out with you, and that is called Orcam Read. It's quite small. I'm holding up in front of the screen at the moment, but it's actually only about the size of a highlighter pen. And if I press the button on the top here,
waking up. Battery is 68% charged.
So it tells you the charge on there. It's got a little flat end, which has got the camera, and a rounded end, which you hold. And you can hold it just like a torch, actually. So I'm going to get that same bit of material, leaflet that we had before, and I'm going to press the button on there.
At Optelec, we pride ourselves on our ability to help our customers live more independently.
Press the button there. So first thing is, I had to use it like a torch. So I had to actually point it towards the document at a certain distance. So I couldn't do it very close up to it. I couldn't do it a long way away. So you have to get used to how far away you're holding it from the document. But it was, for those of you who noticed, it was very, very quick. So within a second or two, it's reading the whole document out to you. So I can take a picture of the whole thing and it's reading it out to you. So very quick, very easy to use because you're just pressing a button, a bit like a torch. In actual fact, there's actually only 4 buttons along the top of the device itself. And that's the button I just pressed to do the scan. There's a plus and a minus to change the volume.
Maximum.
And then there's a button at the end for turning it on and off. So very, very easy to use. It does have a number of other features. So you can give it verbal commands. You can ask it to tell you the time and the date. And you can use a facility on it to take a picture of a document and actually just pick out certain items. So you pick out a date within it, or pick out a certain name within that document as well. So there are quite a number of things you can do, but you can keep it very simple and just press the button on the end, take the scan, and it will read out to you. And that's called the Orcam Read. Very easy and light and nice to use. But I would say that there are some difficulties if you don't have any sight at all. So with this one, it does take a bit of lining it up where you're pointing it at something. Now you can get used to that with practice, but it is a little bit harder if you don't have any sight at all with that one, which is the Orcam Read. So that's the 3 products we do which are specifically designed, which are text to speech only. Now we do quite a few other ones which I haven't brought along, and I'm not going to really go through today, which magnify and speak out to you. So they all have a screen, and they show you the magnified image of whatever you're looking at, be that a smaller portable one, or be it a bit larger, or even a very large screen version. And within that, they can also take a picture and read out to you as well as just magnifying. So and there's quite a range of those that do both things as well, and they vary very much in cost and in portability. But as I said, we've just gone through the text-to-speech ones, and I'm going to go now to a little bit more advanced area, which is sort of at the forefront of what's happening at the moment with products, and that is the wearables. So I think the general feeling within the industry and with also with the people with eyesight problem is that this is the direction where things are going to be going in the future. Now, obviously, it's going to be a bit of a way off before we get to something which is really, really unnoticeable. But that's obviously where we want to get to in quite a few years' time, is that you're not even going to notice that you've got a product and it's helping you and helping you see or helping you read, etc. Now, I've actually worked for Optelec Enhanced Vision for quite a number of years, over 10 years. But before that, I had my own business doing very similar products for people who are blind or partially sighted, because my father-in-law had macular degeneration, and that's how I got involved. And the first product we dealt with, brought over from America, and I've actually got one here, was a wearable device, which is about 20 years old now, and it is huge. It's called an Elvis. You had to put it on your head. It's over 2 pounds in weight. It's quite heavy. It's a small CRT camera, like an old style camera, not a flat screen camera with it, and some screens built into it where you had to look at it there. And it had a massive control pack with a really big battery in there as well. So I dealt with products like this 20 years ago that were the first type of wearable devices. Now they have come on quite a bit since then, and I've got 3 of the current ones that we're dealing with at the moment. And the first one I'm going to talk about is the smallest device, which is the Orcam MyEye. And this is very similar, actually, to the Orcam Read, but you wear it on a pair of glasses, on the side of a pair of glasses. Now, the thing is, this wearable device, it doesn't magnify, so it doesn't help you see any better, but it does that text-to-speech facility and a number of other things as well. So if you put it on and you touch the side, it will take a picture of a piece of text that you're holding in front of you and read it out to you. It will also recognize people in a room. So you could say, it could go into a room, it'll say there's 2 men standing in front of you. You can, once a little bit of programming, only takes a minute or two, to program in people's faces, and it will recognize people's faces. So tell you there's Mark in the room or there's Anthony in the room when you walk into a room or look over that way. So there's a number of other features built into this, which are technologically very interesting and very good. It is quite small and neat. Here it's actually smaller than the Orcam Read. And if I take it, it's held on by batteries onto the side of the glasses. These glasses are just basically blank screens in there. There's nothing in there, but you can attach it to your normal glasses themselves. And it just means your hands free and you can hold up a document, etc., or look at a document, touch the side or gesture, and it will read out to you. So very interesting, very interesting way forward. It doesn't help you actually see anything any better, but it can really help in problems that someone might have with eyesight problems to navigate the world slightly. Won't help you actually walk anywhere, but it will help you to tell you what's around in a room, and it will also read text to you, even if it's on a wall or in a shop. So that is called the Orcam MyEye, and a really interesting product and very popular, and we do sell quite a number of these. The next product I'm going to show you is a combination product. So that means it does a number of different things, one of which is to be wearable. And that is this one here, which is the Compact 6 HD. So initially it's got a little frame and it works like one of our electronic magnifiers. You pop it up onto the text and we've got the text. I've got it up in yellow on blue here, but I'm putting it over the text. It's magnifying up on the screen, and you can change that to a different way, whatever you want to. However, you can take it out of the frame. So there's the frame that stands up onto the text, and you're left with the device itself. Now, this device itself, you can get an extra part for it, which is this one, which is called the Compact Wear. And all you do is slide the device into the front of that wear. Now, it is a bit bulky, but the image it gives through onto the lenses when you look through is, I haven't found another device which gives such a big area of view, almost like a panoramic view of wherever you're looking at. And you can zoom in on what you're looking at distance or a close up, and gives you a very magnified view, which you can also enhance through onto those screens. So it's giving a very, very good view. Now, the only problem is it is quite a large device that you would wear on the front of your face. So it's not for walking around with, it's for staying static with, but it could be very good for looking around in an office situation, or looking at a sporting event, or looking at things that you want to see maybe in the garden if you're sitting down, or looking around, something like that. But it gives a very, very good distance view magnification, which the first device, the Orcam, did not. And the benefit is, of course, once you've finished doing it for those specific tasks, you take it out and you're back to you've got an electronic magnifier. So you're not just investing in one device that you may not use an awful lot. You've got another device which gives you quite a large degree of magnification at close up and distance with a frame, but then you can use it for that wearable function as well. So I think that's a really good idea and a good way forward in the interim when the wearable side of it is not going to be something that you can wear all the time. It's going to help you with everything. It's going to help you with specific things of seeing distance magnified. So I think this is a really good solution, that you have a close-up magnifier that you can use to read text, but then you've got that ability to have a wearable device for not a great deal more investment. So that is called the Compact 6, the Compact 6 magnifier, and the Compact 6 Wear. The added advantage of the Compact 6 is it actually is text to speech as well. So you can take a picture of the text and it will read it out to you. So this is one of those, I was giving the example of a combination text to speech and magnification device, and that's called the Compact 6. But you have the added advantage of being able to use it as a wearable device as well. So the last device I'm going to talk about here now, before I talk about questions and prices and that, is a brand new device. I'm just going to get it up here. And this one is called the EyeDaptic. So we're just evaluating at the moment. So it's quite interesting to have a look at. It's a pair of glasses with screens in the back, and it's actually connected to a mobile phone with a couple of smaller controls on it on the side here. So you do have to have a wire control connected between the two, but it's very much lighter and less cumbersome than the last one we were talking about. And it gives a really good magnified view of wherever you're looking, which you do control with the mobile phone side of it, but it's quite an easy slider on there. And you can enhance the image and you can reverse the image. So you're not completely enclosed with it. It's very difficult to describe, but basically you're not completely enclosed. You have, you can see viewable area around it. You can hold up something to read. You can see distance and zoom in. Quite nice and portable. But it is a really interesting device going forward that you can change that magnification and zoom to quite a large degree on there. It simply unplugs to turn it off, and you are just because it's a mobile phone, you can do other things on that phone as well. But the idea is you just use it with the several easy to use controls on there. And as I say, we're just evaluating it at the moment, looking at it. And just to mention a little bit about prices, this one will probably be in the region of £1,500 to £2,000. That sort of cost. The Compact 6 is actually it's £680 for the magnifier, but it's only about another £175 to get the wear part of it as well. So you're only talking about £850, something like that, to get a magnification device that will always do text to speech, and to get that possible wear part of it to see distance as well. I think that's a really good value for money product, that one. And the first one I showed you, which is the Orcam MyEye, that's a bit more expensive. That one is about £3,500. That's marked there. So it is quite expensive, that one, but it is the most portable, the least obvious, and it gives you quite a few new features which I think will become incorporated into wearable devices going forward. So that's those ones. Compare those prices to the standard text-to-speech devices that I showed at the beginning. The Smart Reader, Smart Read's about £1,500, and the Orcam Read is excuse me, the Orcam Read is £2,000. So they're all relatively expensive, but they can give a real next generation help to people in terms of giving that magnification, giving that things that most magnifiers at the moment can't give you. So are there any questions about any of those products?
Yeah, Mark, it's Tim here.
Hi, Tim.
Device. Yeah. Columns. Is any of those devices, like newspaper columns?
Yes.
Any of those devices differentiate columns?
Yes, they do. And all of them do that to a certain extent. I would say the Smart Reader, Clear Reader, the first ones I showed you, are much better at that, recognizing columns, but they all will recognize columns to a certain extent. The benefit of the first two, the Smart Reader and the Clear Reader, is that you can turn that facility on and off. Now, that might sound a little bit funny, but for some instances, you don't actually want it to recognize columns. So, for instance, on a bill or something like that, you might have all the descriptions down the left of what you've bought, all the prices down the right, and if you ask it to the computer inside of it basically to recognize columns, it will read down all the descriptions, then all the prices. You want it to read across. You want it to read what you bought and how much that you paid for it. And so, with both of those devices, it's very easy to just hold the button down a little bit longer, and then it will do a scan of without recognizing any columns. The default on both those is to recognize columns, and they are very good at that. Yeah. Both the Orcam Read and the Orcam MyEye do have that facility as well. but it's you do have to change the settings in it.
Okay. And none of these devices work off Wi-Fi. They're standalone.
They're all standalone, yeah, which is a great advantage because some people don't have Wi-Fi, or when you're actually wanting to perhaps go outside, especially with the MyEye, etc., or the Read, you don't want to have to rely on Wi-Fi. So yes, you're absolutely right. None of the devices I've talked about today are reliant on Wi-Fi.
Thank you.
The EyeDaptic, is it EyeDaptic?
EyeDaptic, correct? Yeah.
That what role does the mobile phone play? I wasn't quite sort of.
Yeah. So sorry, that is where the controls are. So the controls are actually on the mobile phone itself, and so you do have to have some sight. As with all these magnification devices that you're looking for distance and magnifying up, you do have to have some sight for them to work. So there are some large controls on the pictorial controls on the mobile phone itself, and also the mobile phone is powering the glasses as well.
So is it as a glasses? Is it hammering the glasses, or is it hammering the mobile phone camera?
No. Well, you can use the camera in the mobile phone if you want to, but actually no. The camera is, I don't know, it's very hard to see on here, but if I bring those glasses up close, there is a spot on one side, and that is the camera just to one side of the glasses there. So yeah, the camera and the glass and the screens are in the glasses, and the controls are in the mobile phone itself.
Yeah, I've not seen those, but obviously they're not, are they on the market? Not on the market yet, or almost on the market?
No, they're almost. Yeah, we're just evaluating the products at the moment. Yeah,
I've never seen that one. No, excellent. Right.
No, yeah, it's quite interesting, and it's not going to be. I'm sure it's not going to be over 2,000. It'll be less than 2,000.
Yeah.
I'm more interested in the first three. Yes. Because I'm very elderly, so I can't learn anything much. It's got to be simple for me.
Yeah.
I've got macular degeneration, and I've got no central vision in my left eye.
Battery level 25%.
I've got a little bit in my right eye. So, so they are really easy, are they? Those first three things that aren't so technically forward.
Absolutely, yes. So these just have, I don't know if you can make it, it's a little orange button here on the front. But you just basically, you can feel, all the buttons are tactile, so you can feel exactly where they are. You feel them on the top, press the button, and it takes a picture. And that's all you really need to do. Press that button on the top, and it's taking the picture of the text in front of it.
Yes. We can't I couldn't, obviously I can't see it actually on the table because I can't see the table. But is it sort of A4 and full scap or a smaller, whatever size is under there?
Correct. So it does an A4 size sitting in front of it on the table.
In front of it, yes.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
Right.
So, you put it, and it doesn't matter on the orientation surface, that way round or that way round, or even it would read it out to you. Yeah.
Oh, right. So that's the first one, isn't it?
That's the smart reader. That's
the smart reader.
Yes,
and the clear reader does something else.
So the clear reader has a few other functions. So it will spell out for you, and it's better at saving documents, but it is a little bit more expensive. So that's about 2,000 is the clear reader.
Oh, right.
And then the third one of that bunch that does the speech is the Orcam Read, and that just has a button to press at the end. But as I said, there is a little bit of lining up involved. So holding it in a certain way, but it is very quick and very easy to use. But that is about 2,000. So that's a little bit more expensive. But the smart reader is really popular because it is so easy to use with the big buttons on.
I need Yeah. And is the big button a different colour as well? Or it's different colour.
Yeah. Yes. So it's orange is the big button.
Oh, it's that orange one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And then the pause and backwards and forwards buttons are black on a white background.
Right, I see. Now, I'm in Chelmsford in Essex, and several years ago, a Mark came to see us with the big things, but I couldn't get near him, and my eyes weren't so bad. So do you have a representative in Essex?
Yeah, we do, yes. I cover the north of England, but we have about four or five other guys around the country. So if you basically just give Optelec a ring or
Yes.
Enhanced Vision a ring, then we get the person who's closest to you and we can do a free home demonstration of the equipment.
Right.
So bring it out to
Have you got a number then? Have you got
Yeah.
telephone numbers on
Yes,
you?
I have, yeah. So there's a normal office number, but I'll give you the free phone number. So the free phone number is 0800
Yes.
145
Yes.
6115.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. All right. And then they'll be able to help you and they'll be able to book up someone to bring one out. And there's no obligation.
No.
If you really like it, what you can do is you would buy it, but we give you 30 days, a month to change your mind.
Yes.
And then we collect it at our cost and get all the money back to you. There's no restocking fee or there's no collection charge or anything like that.
No. Right. Thank you.
Okay.
It's Tim here. I have to say, the Smart Reader, the first one that Mark showed, is incredibly easy to use. You literally, if you've got a piece of A4 paper or letter, you literally shove it to the to the side of the machine and press the button.
Yeah.
Positioning of the paper is really, really easy.
Oh, good.
You really don't have to worry about it. It's easier than you could imagine.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Does the Smart Reader just do A4? If you put a book under it, would it be able to help with that if it was bigger than the machine itself?
It will cope with slightly bigger, but basically the A4 is the guide on it. Usually with the paperbacks are no problem, and it will do 2 pages because it recognises them as columns. If it's a lot larger than that, it may not do it, but most books are fine, really, to be honest.
And what about the paper hill, or is it better to put something on top of it to flatten it out?
It's very good at recognize. It doesn't. Yeah, I mean, if it's good at recognizing if there's a bend or anything like that. It's pretty good. But if it is really like a new book, then we can provide a piece of perspex to hold it flat open. Yeah, and that's quite easy. We'll just provide that if you want to. Yeah, free of charge.
With the Orcam Read, how is there a guidance that sort of lets you know that you've got the piece of paper, the whole document in progress? In
well, there is, but it's just a bit depends on how much eyesight you have. So I'm going to try and see if I can demonstrate to you. Right, if I hold it down. Now, can you? I don't know if it's quite hard to see, but there is a red box,
a
laser box. Yeah, so that designates roughly, and it's only roughly, how much area it will take a picture of. So you can have that, and then that will. And if I hold it further back, I can get the whole of the document in. It's just it's a guide to where it's actually taking the picture of on there. You can change that setting. It's quite easy to do that. You press the plus and minus together, and have an arrow. So I don't know if you make it up. There's a spot arrow there now. That will just read that paragraph or that small area of text. So generally, I advise people to have it on the box, and it just reads everything. If their eyesight's a little bit better and they can make out where exactly they want to see, then the arrow can work. But you can switch between the two. It will also actually give you a bit of guidance. So sometimes if you're holding it slightly to the left or holding it a little bit not at the right angle, it will tell you, please hold it further to the right, or please straighten the angle. And it will actually announce that for you verbally.
Because really that's more aimed at be more useful to somebody with very little or no sight. So really it would be better if you held it up and it sort of had some sort of thing that said whole page in view or something like that, wouldn't it?
Yes, I mean, I think that could be used, and I certainly have had products that do that in the past. But because it is so light and easy to hold, I think you do actually get used to, even with people with no sight at all. They sort of realise that have it close to it, take it away a certain amount, and that they do get a bit of an idea of how far away from something you need to hold it to read out. But you're right, that could be a facility that might be worth having at some stage.
What options are there to change the voice?
Well, with the Orcam, the facilities on it are built in, and you can change the. That's the same with all the voice ones. You can change the male to female voice.
To change English voice, press the trigger button. For other options, press the volume button.
There we go. You can change those on there.
Suspending. Press again to shut down.
But yeah, so it's a combination of buttons on the Orcam, but and with the other one. So you can change it from a male voice to a female voice. You can actually have different accents in there as well, and you can have different languages. So you can get different languages built into them as well. I have. We have some products. I've just seeing a lady. Actually, she's in the Sight Advice South Lakes area with Chinese. She's interested in, yeah, and so looking for work that read Chinese and English. And I've got two devices to show her there, which work, and it's got 3 different dialects of Chinese as well. So one Cantonese and I can't remember the other 2, but yeah.
Yeah, she'll be Canton. There's Cantonese and Mandarin.
That's it, Cambridge. Yeah, and I couldn't tell, but she said it worked well. Yeah, my Cantonese isn't great at the moment.
I can't tell you. She can.
Yeah. Yeah. So
presumably, presumably it doesn't translate.
No, it doesn't translate. No, unfortunately. Yeah, but it's yeah. So there were 2 different products, and they're the products I was talking about that do both things. She's got some sight, not a great deal, but she's got some sight, so she wants to magnify, and she wants to have the text to speech as a backup. So one of them is a large device with a 24-inch screen, which gives a really good view, but it's a static system, can't be moved. And the other one is what's something called a Compact 10, which is a 10-inch screen, but that will read out to you as well. Smaller screen to viewable area, but very portable, a bit like sort of iPad portability.
That seems to be the way forward, doesn't it? Having things that have this multifunction. So
correct,
as well as doing magnification, also doing speech, whereas having to have, because most of these conditions do progress. So if somebody starts off with, they can see enough to be able to use magnification, but as the condition progresses, they then rely more on speech rather than, So
exactly.
You've got that bit of longevity built into the product.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. It is always a balancing act for people what they want to go for, because inevitably it'll either compromise on the magnification or make it more expensive if you go to the text to speech. So there is but I mean, for instance, actually with the new Compact 10 I was talking about, that one you can buy it as a magnifier and upgrade it to speech later on. So that's quite a good idea, and I think that's a good way forward as well.
It's good that you can sort of do that. And where do you sort of see this technology going? Where do you
Yeah, I mean, ideally, I've seen a couple of people recently who actually say, okay, it's taken a picture of me and it's reading out, but actually I don't want it to read that section. I want it to read this section down here. And of course, the machine can't possibly know that unless you somehow tell it. But I think with more and more artificial intelligence built into machines, they will be able to interpret text much more. So they will be able to say, actually, I know that most of the time you don't read that. You read this bit here. This is the most relevant bit here. And so with a very small amount of communication, you'll say it'll read out the bits you want it to read out. Because at the moment, really, most things just read out from top to bottom. That's it. and you have to wait. If something's 2/3 of the way down, you have to wait till it gets to it, and there's no way of jumping to that point, really. That's not quite true, because there are a couple of ways with the Orcam, but it's not that immediately easy. And I think that artificial intelligence being built into products will make it much more user friendly in terms of how they work. So they're actually working really well at the moment, but you want to be able to cut to the bit you want to see. And I think the AI will really help that. So I think that's will be the next big jump forward. Seeing distance with any of these products is always tricky, because as you magnify something up, you see a small area at one time. Now, I think we're going to be reliant on the computer giants like Google and Facebook, etc. They will bring out things for people to actually interact with computers using their eyes to look around some things. And I think that will, on the back of that, looking 5 or 10 years down the line, our community will be able to use that to the benefit. Because you don't just want to use it like a telescope looking at one little thing. You want to be able to see the outs around it as well. Now, I don't know how you do that, and I don't think anyone does, but I think that will come in terms of being able to using the advances in this in the big companies for just making gaming or other things available, and I think that will work into it as well. So I think it's the AI of knowing what you want to do without you actually almost having to tell it, and also something which I don't know how it's going to work, of being able to do what your eyes do, of zoom into a certain point and zoom out again, which you do, your brain does really, rather than your eyes. And I think those two are the big ways forward, but not just at the moment. Yeah.
I think with the AI, it would be, if you had something like a newspaper, and the machine would look at it and say, well, these are the headlines, and then you can say, read me, such and such a headline, and then it would actually just read that. And that would be fairly impressive if you could get something to do that.
Yeah, and do it very quickly without you even thinking about it. Yeah. As I say, you can. I have seen devices or prototype devices that will sort of pick out parts of headlines, but they're not there yet, And I think with all these things, you want reliability as well, because it only has to fail once or twice, and people lose interest or lose faith in it. So it has to be really, really reliable in what it does. So yeah. Yeah, I think that would be great if we can get to that point. Now, I don't think it's very far away, really.
No, well, one thing I have seen, it's very basic, and it's not the greatest thing, but basically I've seen a small 5-inch magnifier where you can voice control and say bigger, smaller, smaller, and that's okay, because not a lot can go wrong with that. but when you have to ask things like read a column or read a headline, it does get quite complicated.
Yes,
but I can see how one day when they get that right, it'll be great.
Yeah.
But, voice activation onto your 5-inch will be the way forward.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Yeah, and it's with all these things, when you start thinking about the process involved in actually getting it to do a certain thing, it's much more complicated than you actually think. You wanted to do this and this and this, and at this point, and then here, and actually. You think, oh, well, no, I just wanted to read this bit here, but how does it know it's that bit there and that? And I think all these processes are so much more complicated than you actually think in your head when you actually try and break it down, especially as an engineer. But yes, I think you're absolutely right, yeah.
Yeah, when we say here inside Device, we like devices that do one or two things very, very well, rather than a multifaceted device, which probably does a lot of things, but not necessarily to the standard that you would want. But, so yeah.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Because I mean, a lot of what you've talked about is available as apps on mobile phones, and it will let you buy, but you don't have that dedicated thing of something that's actually been specifically designed for, that particular task. And really, that's ideally what you want is something that's, for example, the magnifiers, the magnifiers that you provide have a lot higher quality optics and algorithms than, a 99p app off the App Store.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. I think they're a good place to start apps, for people to try stuff out, try the actual idea of something. But if you want to see something that's really designed to do it in a very superior way, then you pay your money, you take your choice. Then that's it.
We're just coming up to 10 too, so if nobody's got any more questions, we'll wrap it up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
very much.
Future Vision and Live Well. We hope you enjoyed this presentation. Future Vision events take place on the fourth Thursday of each month at 10 a.m. Live Well sessions concentrate on making the most of life with sight loss. These sessions take place on the second Thursday of each month at 10 a.m. To attend the next session or to suggest future topics, please contact your local sight society, who will be able to provide you with the Zoom link.